What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? My name is Prodigy, and welcome to another video on the channel. Today, guys, I'm going to be covering an interview that came out around 2 weeks ago from series director Tetsuya Nomura and Dengeki Interview about Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory and the future of the Kingdom Hearts series. Now, I covered one of the biggest snippets from this interview in a video I made also around 2 weeks ago, talking about how Kingdom Hearts isn't planned to have any major announcements until a specific year. And if you want to go ahead and check out that video, then please feel free to give it a watch. It will be linked in the end card to this video or in the card on the top right of the screen that you can freely click on. But this video is going to be about the whole interview, so I'm going to be covering all of it. So this video is going to be pretty lengthy, but I'm going to be reading this article off at cage13.com. I'm going to be doing my normal interview thing where I read a couple of questions and answers and then comment myself, give my own opinions here and there. But let's just go ahead and get right into it. Both the game and the official soundtrack came out within the same time frame. Please tell us what kind of request you made to Indie Zero, known for developing the Theatrhythm series, when developing Melody of Memory. Their proposal in a few words can be described as Theatrhythm Kingdom Hearts Edition. However, I didn't want it to make it a carbon copy of Theatrhythm Final Fantasy and slap the Kingdom Hearts moniker on top of it. So you wanted it to be similar, yet completely different to Theatrhythm. Correct. I asked Indie Zero to combine the action of Kingdom Hearts with the rhythm genre. As you can imagine, it took a lot of trial and error and lots of testing. Because it is complicated to put those two pieces together nicely, we also wanted to make the game not look too flashy, so that people wouldn't feel sick when playing the game. I see, there are Keyblade strikes and magic, so you can really feel like you're playing actual Kingdom Hearts. It makes me glad that you're saying that. After all, that was the main objective of this project. Kairi will play a specifically important role as this game's storyteller. Could you elaborate more on that? In the game story, Kairi will recap the entire story of the Kingdom Hearts series so far, in a way that even new players can easily digest. However, it is impossible to get into the most intricate details. So if you're curious about a certain part of the story, I strongly recommend you play that game and enjoy the story for yourself in its fullest. The game contains a total of 140 songs. Were any songs personally suggested by you, Nomura-san? None in particular. I guess my initial request was to include as many songs as possible, as I did not want to implement more in a DLC package. Unfortunate. Okay, so that was the entire first section of the interview. We got through that pretty fast. I made multiple videos talking about the songs and Melody of Memory and its DLC and so on, because I feel like I would really personally love to have DLC in Melody of Memory. I know not everyone's a big fan of that. Not everyone's a big fan of paying $60 for a rhythm game in general, and I understand that fully, but as someone who does enjoy the game and would be willing to pay a little bit more for it, I would love to have some additional songs, maybe an additional team here and there, because there's tons of songs that I feel like should have been in the game that, in my mind, are like almost no-brainers, some of the most iconic songs in the series for me that aren't in the game. And of course, while they can't put every single song in the game, there's a couple more songs I just wish they would add, maybe like 20 more or even less, like Scarlet Kylem's battle theme, for example, Edge of Existence, as it's officially called. Bounce-O-Rama from Winnie the Pooh, as funny as that song is, that's a song that I really love in the Kingdom Hearts series. I would love like field battle versions of songs like Let It Go, for example. Scythe of Petals from Chain of Memories, one of Marluxia's boss themes. More bosses in Melody of Memory as well that I think would deserve it, like Lord of Castle, in my opinion, does deserve its own boss. There's some new music in Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind that I wish was added to the game. I wish there was more field battle versions of Kingdom Hearts 3 songs. I would love a whole DLC package just surrounded by Kingdom Hearts 3 music, because I feel like that game got shafted the most, and understandably so, because this game was in major planning before Kingdom Hearts 3 released. I think I want to comment on Kairi being a storyteller in this game a little bit more in another video, but just to give a little quick statement on that part of the interview, I feel like Kairi being the storyteller of the game is not that important. You could definitely skip most of that. However, it is nice hearing her narrate some of these scenes, though in my opinion, I feel like the voice performance was a little bit off for Kairi in some of those scenes. Like there was something wrong with the audio, not the actual actual voice actor herself, but there was something wrong with the audio editing in those scenes, and they sounded really like scruffy. I don't know if that was just me or not. Additionally, I feel like it's a decent recap of the Kingdom Hearts story, but of course, if you want to get into the Kingdom Hearts series, I would always recommend just play through the games, like through the HD collections. I wouldn't recommend personally to start off with Melody of Memory, but I can delve into that topic a little bit more and think about it a little bit more for another video I want to do. Next, let's talk about a future outlook for the series. With Kingdom Hearts 3, a saga, the Seekers of Darkness saga, Dark Seeker saga, ending, there's still a lot of mystery surrounding the characters, correct? Of course, in the near future, I plan to change the story drastically, as in change the structure on how it's told in a way that it can grab on all the pending mysteries. The objective here is to try out a brand new story while still integrating the plots and mysteries that are currently pending. In Union Crawl's Dark Road, you delve into the past of Xehanort. So does this mean we'll see more of him in future series? To be fair, Dark Road wasn't a project that took future titles into consideration. It was more of a project the Kingdom Hearts Union Crawl's team was thinking of doing that's been in the back burner for a bit. Xehanort's saga ends with Kingdom Hearts 3, but you can clearly see in Melody of Memory's story that his influence does shift the atmosphere, even if just a bit. However, I don't think Xehanort will become a main antagonist slash main boss in future titles. One of the main perks of Kingdom Hearts is how it always sets the atmosphere for a continuation. Is that something you commonly think of when developing the game? Example, when developing Kingdom Hearts 1, did you anticipate the existence of Sora's Nobody Roxas? Whenever I think of a story, I try to make it as extensive as possible. For example, when developing Kingdom Hearts 1, I was thinking of its sequel, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. However, not everything I thought came to fruition. One such case is Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, where I haven't really thought much about it. That's a vague response. The Kingdom Hearts series started on the PlayStation 2 system. However, there were no new releases to the PS3 or the PS Vita. Instead, what happened is that remasters of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, dubbed 1.5 and 2.5, were released. Why wasn't there such a jump to new hardware? I had some foggy ideas to release new titles on the PS3 and PS Vita, especially since the PS Vita, for a portable console, packed quite the beefy hardware and could stand up to the task. However, those plans never fully materialized, mostly because at the time I was involved with Final Fantasy Versus 13's development. Is the new Kingdom Hearts game going to take advantage of the powerful technologies boasted by the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S? We can't say we have plans to do so as of now, but if Kingdom Hearts were to come to these new generation consoles, it would most certainly be a latecomer. Basically, the game isn't likely to come out in the first year of the console's releases. And that is the end of that section of the interview. Whenever I hear Versus 13 mentioned in an interview like nowadays, I get a little sad and I also laugh a little bit. I know that sounds a little terrible, but it's just like, it's crazy. It's baffling how long that project was being worked on and how it never really came to fruition. But now we're seeing that IP come back in Kingdom Hearts, which I find funny in a way, but also really exciting. And yeah, I know, some people take Versus 13 being a part of Kingdom Hearts a little offensively for some reason, but I don't mean that at all in a literal sense, because clearly we don't know what exactly Versus 13 would have ended up being. We have a general synopsis of how the story was going to form itself, but this is Kingdom Hearts, so it's going to have that Kingdom Heartsy touch to it. So while we're seeing some similarities between Versus 13 and the Zora story, how they differ is going to be where the story becomes the most interesting, because they're going to differ a lot, and Nomura's even said that himself. I always wondered myself why Kingdom Hearts never had anything for the PlayStation 3. I mean, I know a lot of people that bought a PS3 with the release of Kingdom Hearts 3 in mind, and then they had to buy a PS4 for Kingdom Hearts 3 because it was actually confirmed for PS4, luckily. But Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in the PS2 era, towards the middle of the PS2 era as well, a little bit after, but towards the middle mostly. And Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't release until, well, more than a decade later. It's interesting to know that they considered making a Kingdom Hearts game for the PS Vita. I'm guessing it's lucky that they didn't do that, because the PS Vita was definitely a little bit of a flop. Although I have a PS Vita, and I personally like my PS Vita. The PS Vita, to be honest with you, wasn't really used for anything crazy. I mean, for a lot of people that I know, the PS Vita is mostly used as a anime game console, a Persona 4 Golden machine, or just PS3 games ported to Vita, just to have PS3 games on the go. And to be honest, from my experience with the PS Vita, while it is a good console, a lot of those PS3 games didn't run as good as they could have, because a lot of developers just kind of threw those games on that hardware without even thinking about having them run, you know, optimally. Though I still have my PS Vita, and it is a cool system, but it sucks that it didn't become as successful as the PSP, which is also a great console. Regarding Xehanort returning in the Kingdom Hearts series going forward, they didn't really give a full answer on that, but he did say what we could obviously infer, that he won't be the main antagonist or main boss of future titles. I know a lot of people were weirdly worried that Xehanort being a boss in Melody of Memory, or him even showing up in Melody of Memory, was concerning, because people thought we were supposed to be done with him after Kingdom Hearts 3, which we kind of are. But I feel like if you look deeper into the story at all, you know that Xehanort has a lot of mystery to him and a lot more lore that still needs to come out, and I'm kind of expecting them to integrate that into this new saga. I feel like Xehanort's presence is still going to be very important in the Kingdom Hearts series going forward, the information he holds specifically, and we're going to be seeing a lot of him in Dark Road as well. I think his past should be explained, and we should find out more about people like Apprentice Xehanort and young Xehanort and Scarlet Kylum. But old Xehanort, we're most likely going to be done with old Xehanort, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in more scenes like we did in Melody of Memory, where he's a memory, a depiction of someone else's heart, something like that. So Xehanort won't be the main character in the future, the main antagonist, but he will likely still have a presence. Now for the final section of this interview, talking about the Kingdom Hearts soundtrack and a little message at the end. One of the most talked about topics in Kingdom Hearts is its music, particularly the songs composed by Yoko Shimomura. Why did you decide that she would be perfect for the job? I got a recommendation from the music department at Square. At the time, I had worked with her on Parasite Eve, PlayStation 1 game released in 1999 by Squaresoft. It was a unique kind of RPG known as a cinematic RPG, so it was fairly easy to approach her, since we were already acquainted by then. Her songs are popular both in Japan and overseas. To be fair, I was pretty surprised when the overseas fans called her Goddess, and how they called me Papa. Oh my gosh, I was honestly quite surprised such nicknames existed for us. To be honest, they do exist. What was your first request to Shimomura-san? It was one I wanted to make a battle arrangement for all world songs. As you know, each Kingdom Hearts world has a field song and a battle song. I wanted it to feel like you were in a theme park. What do you think of her songs from your point of view? They sound like they carry a lot of emotions. They sound like drama. Aside from Shimomura-san, we also have other well-established composers for the Kingdom Hearts series, such as Yoshimoto and Sekito. I believe it was during Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep's development process that we asked them to compose. Yoshimoto is involved with the Dissidia series as well as The Worms With You. He's great in creating cool-looking songs. As for Sekito, his forte is creating bright and cheerful songs. He also has a close relation to the development team in Osaka, so it's very easy to request bright and cheery songs for things such as DUI or mini games. Finally, please give a comment to everyone to wrap up the interview. We are proud that we managed to release Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory and the Kingdom Hearts 3 soundtrack. Both me and the team hope that all players enjoy it fully. After the release of Melody of Memory, the series will probably take a little break. No announcements or new things until 2022. 2022 marks the 20th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts, so I plan to share some great news by then. And that is going to wrap up this Dengeki interview. I don't have too much to say about the soundtrack segment other than, yes, Shimomura is indeed a goddess, and while I personally myself have not called Nomura Papa, I know a lot of people on Twitter have. I've definitely seen that a lot, but it's hilarious that they commented on those things or even found us out about those things. But hey, I mean, it's a sign of respect for them because they put a lot of work into the series. But yeah, the Kingdom Hearts series does have other composers other than Yoko Shimomura. For those of you that don't know, Yoshimoto is one of the people who is behind Vanitas' theme, for example, one of people's favorite themes in Kingdom Hearts. And I believe Yoshimoto was one of the main people who did work on the boss themes as well for Kingdom Hearts 3, the base game of Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm pretty sure Nomura did do the soundtrack for Remind, however. But I don't really have too much more to say about this interview. It might be a while before we get another interview like this, much less news about anything. I expect that the next time we'll probably get news from Nomura or from anyone in the development team will probably be when Union Cross gets another update, which is planned to happen at the end of this month. So depending on how that update goes, how climactic it is, and so on and so forth, that will likely be when we get more information. But until then though, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, share the video with a friend or family member, and last but not least, if you have not already and want to become a part of the Union, all you have to do is hit that red little subscribe button down below. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye!